Hey guys, this is Rock King 3 bringing you the live commentary Forza 5, and I'm bringing you parts and tune for a C-Class Nissan GTR Black Edition on the Oval. This is for Oval only. I am currently 60th on this track, and I want to kind of show you just kind of briefly. I do touch the brakes right there. I really am trying to stay on the black line that's a little bit below there. That's really the fastest path you can take. I try to turn just a little bit before the black marks on that one. Try to get that kind of up high there. So the guy in front of me is 59th. I am 60th. So I don't expect to beat that in this particular lap. You have to run a few laps to get them all down. But kind of go up above this yellow, and then I turn down into it, and then I let off the gas. And then see that black line I'm trying to hit right there? I'm trying to stay right in there. This is one of those you kind of have to ignore. I hit right before the turn lines there as well. You try to ignore the color lines, and you try to follow the black lines that everybody's been running. Looks like I'm going to run in the 59s, but this is still going to be a little bit slower, so I'll run one more, just run through those turns one more time. So I'm going to go above the yellow, and I'm going to turn down into it. I'm actually going to brake at that little yellow spot right there, and then wait for those lines to kind of clear up. I wanted to get a little bit lower on there, but that's alright. I'm going to turn right at the point where those marks come. I'm not going to keep turning, I'm just going to kind of keep tapping it. And then when I try to follow this black line out, this is a very dominant car on this oval track, so if you want to make a run at the top, you're going to have to do this, plus, you know, whatever variations you see fit with the car. Stay in that black line. I'm going to hammer it a little earlier. And then right as you get to these lines, these skid marks, turn in. And then hold this turn in, because this is actually the tightest turn. And just try to trust it a little bit there. So I had two really good turns and two not so good turns, but instead of running lap after lap after lap to see how I could do, you can see I'm running in the 59s pretty well right now. Brake. I'm going to stay a little bit lower this time. I can't. Go trust it. Alright, and that's the end of that run. So it's one of those things where you have to put together all your turns together. It's not that easy. It looks like it should be, but it's not. So anyway, let's head over to the parts bin now. Let's see you over there. Okay, and we're back. So we're going to go through the parts bin. We're going to first go through the conversions, because this is a very big engine swap. We went down to the 5.7 liter. If you go back, you'll see that this is actually a smaller engine out of all of those that are out there, or at least, I shouldn't say smaller, I should say least horsepower. So no turbos, and then we did the rear-wheel drive change to gain the PI, because we don't need all-wheel drive on the oval track. On the engine, I'm gonna have to run through these real quick, guys. I got the street intake. I don't think there's a lot of parts here. I think I just try to fill in some PI. See, we got stock, everything else right now outside of the air filter. But I don't want to get your PI wrong, so we got to double check these real quick. And looks like we have stock, everything else. That'll be stock. This may or may not be. And we have the street flywheel. Must have been to fill in a PI. So air filter and the flywheel. We don't need any brakes, so we didn't use the PI for the brakes. We have race suspension. We have race anti-roll bars. We have the race roll cage. Again, that was to lower the PI. And no waste reduction due to the immense numbers it takes there. Won't have race clutch because we don't need it. Did the race transmission so we could tweak out our final drive. No weight reduction there. And of course, race differential. Alright, moving on to the compound. We weren't able to put any compound on the tires. We weren't able to put any width in the front. And no width in the back. We did do the heaviest wheels possible, which is my normal. And then with the rim size, we went to the full race in the front. And went to full race in the back. course, we'll have front and rear wing. I'll show you that real quick. Alright, and there you go, and that's for the 500 PI. Makes you very competitive. So now within the tune itself, pretty standard tire pressure for me, 29s. 3.67 for the oval. You can tweak that if you want. I find that to be pretty good. A lot of these alignment, roll bars, and springs are going to be pretty much default. I really didn't change a whole lot, and this is not my normal. But negative 1.0 on the front, negative 0.7 in the back. For the toe, we have 0, and in the rear, we have a negative 0.1. And the front caster is at 5. This may still be just out of the box numbers. Anti-roll bars front is 30.31. The rear is 24.51. Our springs are very stiff at 1,083.3 in the front and 1,047.1 in the back. Reduce the ride height to the lowest possible because it does not bottom out on the oval. We got a 9.9 rebound stiffness in the front and a 9.3 in the rear. We have a 6.4 bump stiffness in the front and a 4.4 in the rear. I did mess around with the aero quite a bit, and this was kind of a balance between being full out speed and not having to slow down too much in the turns. So I do have 3/4 of the downforce in the front and 3/4 in the rear. If you're a little more bold, you can remove that a little bit, but you'll see that it is a little bit harder to drive. Since we didn't buy any brakes, there's no change there. And on the differential, we have 40XL on the front, and more importantly, I put 100 in the rear. And this is so when you're in the corners, you don't have to use the brakes. You can actually let the car decelerate itself. That high number basically pulls it down in speed pretty quickly. So I would rather have the car just reduce in speed and coast like that versus hit the brakes, because when you're in high speed turn like that, the car tends to wobble a little bit. And maybe it's better to go faster and hit that brake line and then accelerate again right away. But this seemed to be the smoothest ride for me. And like I said, I ended up 60th on the track. I ran about 10 laps on it, so it wasn't too bad after I dialed in the aero and the differential. So give it a try and give it a run. See if you can get in the top 100, maybe even the top 50. And good luck, guys, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Later.